what up, everyone? Welcome to our second episode of the Heartful Truth. This is your host, Melly, and my co host, Octoberz. This episode will be about accepting yourself as an artist, and this show is also brought to you by Platform Collection.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We have a special guest today, Miki Vale. She is an artist in her own right. She's a playwright, educator. She wears many hats, and we're glad to have her on this second episode. She talks about accepting herself as an artist and drops a lot of dope gems. So hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you do, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Platform Collection, or you can also follow us on streaming. The Heartful Truth if you search us by that. So thank you guys so much, and hope you guys are having a great week or weekend.
All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Heartful Truth. This is episode 2. I'm here with my co-host Melly. This is powered by Platform Collection. Shout out to the Platform team. Today's episode, we wanted to touch on accepting yourself as an artist is the topic, and we wanted to bring a cool, dope guest. So today we have Miki Vale, who is an artist in her own right. She's a playwright, DJ, educator. She does everything. So without further ado, let me bring her on here. Hey, Miki.
Hey.
Thank you
How
for
you
coming
doing?
on. Good. So like we mentioned, that the topic today is going to be accepting yourself as an artist. So I'll hand it over to my co-host here, Melly, and then we can get the conversation started from there.
Cool.
Alrighty, so to start the conversation, the first question would be, what is the hardest part about connecting with your friends and family while being an artist in your perspective?
Hmm. That's a great question. The hardest part is doing it. It's making time to do it. Being an artist, especially for me, wearing a lot of different hats. I'm
Yeah.
scattered in so many different directions all day, every day until I decide to turn off. Because it's not like you clock in and out. It's like this
Yeah.
got to be done, and this over here got to be done, and I got to do this too. And so, just making that time and making, yeah, just making the time and making it a priority, which is something in the last few years that I definitely have made a priority to stay connected with friends and family, make time to just go and hang out.
Yeah.
And then, life life for me has kind of forced me in that direction anyway, just as elders get older, you're aging and they
Yeah.
need different care and, trying to show up for them in the ways that I need to. So, but it is hard. It's hard to, and sometimes when there is downtime, it's like, I don't really want to talk.
Yeah. we
I
we,
just
we
want to,
relate to that.
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to chill,
Just chill, right?
read
Yeah.
a book. So sometimes it takes a lot of effort.
Do you feel like do you now have like a schedule, you think, or how do you kind of manage it as far as like keeping like you said, like giving enough time to to a significant other, or just like to, you said, like a loved one or a friend, because sometimes they'll want to hang out and you're like, oh, I got this project I got to do, and but you also want to keep that relationship, like you don't want to like feel
Yeah.
like, oh, it's like a one-sided friendship. How do you like manage that as far as that goes? You said you make the time, but how do you make it work for you, for your schedule?
I definitely don't have a schedule. Maybe I should. Maybe I
Yeah.
should have a block on, a
Yeah.
Monday and I
Yeah.
call everybody. But
Yeah.
it's all over the place. It's sporadic.
Yeah.
But when friends do want to hang out, I make that a priority because a lot of things I do involve preparation. A lot of prep or writing and stuff. And I feel like, I can put that off for sometimes. If there's no deadline or something, I can put that off for an hour or two to hang out with somebody. I used to be very much like, no, I'm working on this thing and I can't do anything but work on this thing for the next few weeks.
Yeah.
And that's not helpful
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
what I'm really doing is stressing over this thing and not necessarily working on it, but you know driving myself crazy thinking about it, and it's better to just take a break and hang out with folks
Yeah.
and definitely keep those connections strong.
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like that also helps your art too, like living that human experience. It
Yeah.
also, like, if you're working on music, for example,
Yeah.
Um, what about when was the moment for you that you accepted yourself as an artist?
Um, Interestingly, it was, I know exactly when it was. I was going through a kind of a crisis. Because I had been performing, um, I had been, gosh, I was a machine. I was just performing and throwing shows, and you know, I would look back at something. It was like a MySpace calendar that popped up from 2007, and I had done like 200 shows in that year. Like I was
Wow.
just going constantly,
Hmm.
and I did that for a whole lot of years. And it got to a point where I felt like I was just a hamster in a wheel, just running in place, like doing. I'm moving, I'm working, I'm constantly moving, but nothing. I'm not. Nothing's really showing. I'm not. I don't have anything to show for it. I'm a very adult person,
Yeah.
with the room. I'm not. I didn't feel like I was elevating, and
Yeah.
and so, um, and I was going through a lot. Just and it was, people, relationships ending, and kind of being left alone just to deal with just myself and look at what what is the next what does the next 15, 20 years look like I've done this for 20 years and this is what I have to show. And to me it didn't feel like a whole lot. I have a lot of accolades, I have a lot of,
Yeah.
I've gotten some awards and things like that, but as a woman growing who wants, I've felt like I devoted so much to being an artist
Hmm.
that I don't have a 401k, I don't have a retirement plan. So it was about, how old am I? I'm not gonna say how old I am, but it was about 6 years ago when
Yeah.
um, I was having about to have a very significant birthday, and I was like, what is the next 20 years going to look like for me? How I can't keep doing this. I can't keep showing up for shows and rocking shows, and they don't want to give me gas money. Like, this is not
Yeah.
sustainable.
Hmm.
So, so what am I going to do? Am I going to go back to school? And then I just kind of looked around and
Hmm.
looked at my life and realized, so for 20 years, I literally have been doing this. Everything I have is like reflections of my journey. So
Yeah.
I have to figure out a way to, obviously this is what I want to do. So
Hmm.
I have to figure out a way now to make this sustainable over the
Yeah.
next 20, 30, 40 years, because I don't have a retirement plan. I don't have a 401k. So actually I do have a retirement plan. I do. I did get some life insurance, but and it came with the retirement plan. But still,
Yeah.
it's my path has been different. I haven't
Yeah. It's not
had
like the
a,
typical 9 to 5 type of thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to really, that term, work smarter, not harder. I had to
Hmm.
figure out,
That's the motto.
what does that look like moving forward? If I'm going to do this, I have to make sure that I want to buy a house and
Hmm.
in 5, 10 years. How is that going to happen? It's not going to happen, going down the street to perform and like I said, they don't want to give me gas money. Like that's not going to work. And
Yeah.
just also going where you're valued.
Yeah.
And I know there is a lot of value, you know, not saying that it's all about monetary value, but at some point that has to become, has to come to the forefront. And right after that, I made a decision like I have to level up. And right after that, all these opportunities started coming that were showing me like I've made the right decision, and there are ways to be monetarily valued as an artist. You just got to be open to them and be open to expanding my horizons. And so that's what I've done.
That's great. Yeah. Melly.
Yeah, and how do you seek out opportunities, like how for another upcoming artists like that are trying to accept themselves? How would you maybe explain that to them?
I think this is what has worked for me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
This If something doesn't speak to my spirit, I don't want it. If it don't speak to my spirit, I don't want to hear it. Like I've doing what feels right, what feels authentic has always been the move for me. Um, some I don't fit into every box, and I don't try to. I don't want to.
Yeah.
So just doing what feels right, not trying to be like the next person or do what this person does. And maybe have a little bit of tunnel vision, like don't be affected by all the things. There's so much. We have so much going on around us
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the time. We have so much going on in the palm of our hands with these little computers in the palm of our hand
Yeah.
all the time. Literally, world wide web. The world is in our hands, and that can be really distracting. But trying to have tunnel vision and don't worry about what this person's doing. That has nothing to do with you. What they eat don't make me shit. So just focus on have a plan and focus on that and just moving forward with that.
Great,
Yeah, I
great.
agree with that.
Yeah. And how for yourself, obviously you talked about a little bit about like, not having really like your regular, retirement plan or like a 9 to 5 type of thing. So being an artist is your full-time job. For you, how do you define success for yourself, like as far as that goes? Besides like obviously trying to make it sustainable for yourself, what else do you define as success?
Just being happy and being able to do things that freedom is success for me.
Yes.
'Cause that's always been my ultimate goal. My goal since way back when I first started doing anything. Once I was out of high school, I felt very comfortable, not very comfortable, very confident in my abilities. Like I have a lot of gifts, and my goal has always been to be able to be free and live comfortably with using my gifts. And for me, that is success.
Yeah, I definitely agree
Yeah.
with that. I think that's what I think a lot of us want is that freedom. Because,
Mhm.
like, for us, we both, me and my sister, work 9 to 5s, and we're trying to still figure out how to make it sustainable, like being an artist.
Yeah.
Because especially that fear of like just jumping out and like without having that sustainability for me is that's my only fear that's holding me back. I think once I figure that other part that you figured out, which obviously motivates me to like from hearing your stories, like I know if you could do it, I can probably do it too. So,
Yeah,
yeah, thank
yeah.
you for
And
sharing that.
Yeah.
and I did work many jobs, that and also just having to do that, like having to go and sit in an office that I
Yeah,
hated.
Mhm.
yeah,
And I'm not good with doing things that I don't like. I've been fired from jobs because I just didn't want to be there. And I'd leave and go rock a show,
yep,
or I'd be on my lunch break, take a 2 hour lunch break because I'm riding in the car or something, and I don't like that feeling of being somewhere
that you
I
don't want to
don't
You
want
want
be.
to
to.
be,
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to be, and I don't ever want to have to go back to that. So it's for me, it's like I'll do anything, not anything, but I'm going to try my best to figure out a way to never have to be in a place that I don't want to be, and
yeah,
and life just kind of, I think, whatever you believe in, the universe, God, whatever it is that you feel is the power that drives you in life,
hmm,
it figures out a way to get you where you want to go as long as you put it out there
yeah.
and do the work.
And do the work. Yep,
Mhm.
that's what I would say. Yeah, yeah. Me and Melly talk about that, and even lately, I think because of the pandemic, it's like the whole what's it called? They're calling it like the Great Resignation, where a lot of people are now realizing the whole, like the 9 to 5 is
Yeah.
not something like I
There's so
think
many
all of
different revenues that you can
yeah,
do to
and it's
get.
Yeah.
freedom. Everybody wants freedom. Like
Mhm.
nobody wants to be anywhere where they don't want to be. Like I think a
Yeah.
lot of us do it because out of necessity.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, it's really inspiring to see you and shout out to Kelsey Ray also doing it like the artist thing without having to do something you don't want to do. But
Yeah.
I know we'll get there. It's a journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You just got to keep working.
Yeah, exactly. And Melly, you
Uh,
gotta.
yeah. Next question. So, as an artist, we are always evolving. How do you stay relevant with the ever-changing platforms?
Um, Platforms like social media platforms.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't like social media, and I I do it. Yeah, honestly, Chris,
Yeah.
I think about Chris a lot of time because Chris talks about how you have to stay relevant. is that we've had conversations over the years, and I'm like, I just don't want to post anything. I don't feel like it. I
Yeah.
don't care about social media. And he'd always say that you have to stay relevant. And so when I do post, honestly, I've been thinking about Chris many times, like, I gotta post something. But I don't think that, I don't know, I don't feel like relevancy is at the top of my list of things that I need for me personally.
What do you think helps you, at least for you then? If it's not social media, what's your best like way of getting out the word for what you're doing?
Um, I don't think I have a great way. I mean, social media has been it. I really wore
Hmm.
myself out with social media. That, I used to post all the time and post every move I made, not every move, but any event I had or anything. And I
Yeah.
just got really tired. I got tired after
Yeah.
years of it. I just got really tired. And so, I mean, I'm not a good social media person. I'm
Yeah.
not, I don't post a lot of things I have going on because I just don't feel like it.
Yeah,
And
and it's
that's not
draining.
good. I know in this time,
Yeah.
social media is everything. But for me, I'm just,
No, but it's
um,
cool to see that even though you're not on social media, because a lot of people are like, oh, social media, you need to like, to stay like, afloat or something as an artist. But it's cool to know that you're still thriving,
Mhm.
even though you're not using, like social media. So it's cool to see that.
yeah. But I did
Yeah.
for a long time. I think for a lot of the followers that I do have,
Yeah.
I know that I've had them for years from
Hmm.
back when I was super active and
Okay.
doing newsletters and
Yeah.
even the coding stuff with MySpace back in the day, like
Oh yeah.
all that. I was doing all of it, but I just got tired,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I'm okay with that.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Hmm.
I agree.
Can be
Like yeah,
draining.
Kelsey always gets on us on that too, but I was like, yeah, sometimes it's good to like take a break, not even just because you're posting, but like even take a break from social media in general because it
Hmm.
can be a lot um
For
from
me,
my
it feels like
experience.
a big distraction from
Yes.
Yeah, that's
things
true.
that other things that I could be working on. Like sometimes I just feel like, why am I going to look at other people's lives when I
Mhm.
could be building my own with,
It's true.
with this
Exactly.
time?
Yeah, because
So,
you can be so much productive. Like, if you think of the times, like sometimes I'll go like maybe on TikTok just to post something, and then I end up like scrolling. I'm like, wait, I can be doing these
yeah,
15 minutes. I could have been doing something. I could have been meditating or something, you know.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, okay, like, so now I'm better at that. Like I obviously during work I rarely even look at my phone, but then when I'm off, it's either I'm just posting something real quick and then I'm off. Like I'm trying to live life because I think that's the most
Hmm.
important part to do, especially as an
Yeah.
artist. I think it's just living that human experience.
Yeah, and it's kind of like when you're hanging out with someone too. It's kind of like rude when you're like people are on their phones. It's like good
Oh,
to just enjoy the
absolutely.
moment because
Yeah.
you can't get that moment back.
True.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah. Another question we had for you here was, who has been or what has been your greatest creative influence, whether it was a person or a book or a family member?
Wow. Hmm. You know, my even though I had a very interesting relationship with my dad when we did have a relationship, my
Hmm.
parents have been a big influence. I could say my dad when I was very young, because
Hmm.
he would get me instruments and stuff, and that's something that we were able to do together was play music. He played drums, and that was a connection that we had. And
Hmm.
then my mom passed away. Wow, it's almost 20 years now. February 23rd, it'll be 20 years. But I feel like she always encouraged me to be creative and to do things. When I was making my first songs back in the day, she
Hmm.
she would dance around to, but she wanted me to make more dancey music. She would be like, "Why don't you make music like Will Smith?"
Yeah.
But she always encouraged it, and I feel
Yeah.
like it's almost paying homage to her to continue to do it.
Yeah. That's really dope. Yeah. And then
Alrighty, next question. So, in your opinion, what has been something that didn't go the way you planned it to go, but it was a lesson that impacted your art?
Wow, these are great questions. Uh, lesson. I have many things that didn't go the way I planned, but a lesson that impacted my art. Ooh. Hmm. Wow, I don't know. Impacted my art. What has impacted my art? Oh, well, uh, I I had a relationship, a long-term relationship, and it ended, which was not something I had planned, and it was a very hard time for me. I had a hard time with the breakup, very hard time. However, many amazing things have come out of that from me writing about it, from me writing music about it, from me writing plays about it, especially writing plays. Um, Even one that I'm working on right now, there's just so many pieces of the story that make for good content.
Yeah.
And now that I'm past it, now that
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt anymore. Now I can kind of look back and laugh at myself for how ridiculous I was, and so I can. It's like it's made great content. I wrote a play called The X Games, and it was a
Wow.
comedy, and that one led to so many opportunities. Just so many cool things have come as a result of putting that out into the world, and so yeah, that was something that didn't go as planned, but I learned that it's okay, to use that stuff as for me to use that stuff as fuel. I know for some people it's really hard to be vulnerable,
Hmm.
but I'm okay with it. I feel like that's where all the best love songs come from.
I was
That's
gonna
where all
say,
Yeah.
yeah.
the best books come from, the best movies. So, yeah.
Yeah, I
So just,
definitely agree on that because I feel like a lot of my poems that I write, I feel like have been sometimes on like the hardest times that I've gone through. I look back and I'm just like, wow, it's like kind of like you express yourself best. Sometimes I feel like it's healing kind of at the same
Hmm.
yeah,
time.
exactly.
Yeah, that's really dope. And then one thing that I wanted to ask too is, once you accepted yourself as an artist, did that also help you find your purpose too? And if so, what is your purpose to your art for you?
My purpose is yes, that did that definitely did help me find my purpose. And honestly, like I said, I was going through a crisis, so
Yeah.
I was really questioning my purpose at that time. I was questioning a
Mhm.
lot, and so um, yeah, just making that decision that I've been an artist. This is what I'm gonna be. I'm gonna have to make it work somehow. That did help me find my purpose and just to create to to what's the term, turn lemons into lemonade, like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
use all my experiences, like I was just saying,
Hmm.
to create something beautiful from them, no matter how sour they were or how painful they were, to be able to create something and to that show other people what's possible.
Yeah.
And also I teach, so
Hmm.
I teach hip hop workshops and playwriting. So like using art as a way, as a as a vehicle for healing. I know that that has been the only thing for me that has helped me in my process, and so to be able
Yeah.
to show other people that it's possible and also like offer the tools to help make it possible for them too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really dope. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
definitely relate
Mm-hmm.
to that because I feel like me and Millie are in the same boat as far as that goes. Like, I think we want to make, for example, this show here, we kind of want to show like the more vulnerable side to the artist and ourselves too. Because since you guys are being vulnerable, we want to be vulnerable with you guys, and I think it's something that we don't really see a lot. I think lately we have been seeing it in different like interviews and stuff like that. I think people are getting more in depth, because before nobody really wanted to talk about like, you know, topics like mental health,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And I think now it's being talked about a little bit more, which is really cool. So with this show, it's kind of the same thing. We kind of want to tap into that. And then who knows, your story, Mickey, might inspire somebody else, like seeing like, oh man, she went through all this and she still put out all this like beautiful art, you know? So that's kind of what we want to do with this show as well. And then Melly, do you want to take it away, or do you have a other one?
Well, I think we kind of touched the topic, but I can maybe ask and maybe see if maybe it's kind of worded a little different. But how do you handle pain as an artist? I think you kind of touched on it, but
Yeah. First, I just crumble to a bunch of little pieces, and then I put all the pieces back together, leave out some pieces that aren't necessary, and put myself back together. But yeah, writing has definitely been the go-to for me. And for a while, all the music I was making was really sad, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to,
Yeah.
do shows and all I'm doing is sad songs, angry songs. So I've been I've been happy to do some things that, when people I have an EP that is just very sad. It's actually called Love Hurts, and it's just a sad EP that I haven't put out because I don't want that to be my MO, that I'm just
Yeah,
a
like that
sad
image that,
girl.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
sad, heartbroken girl. Um, which there's nothing wrong with that. Just for me, I don't want that to be, all I have to offer. But so it's cool when I like stuff that I've worked on with other people. I've done a lot of features with people, and it's happier stuff. But yeah, when I'm down, when I'm going through it and dealing with pain, that's my go-to, is to write,
Yeah,
just like many people. So
exactly.
yeah.
Yep, I can.
it
Yeah,
helps
we
me
definitely
kind of
relate.
like gain perspective, and it's just to like reflect, just to reflect
Exactly. Yeah,
and understand myself better.
exactly. Yeah, and sometimes it brings clarity too. Like when you look back
Yeah.
and you're like, oh man, the way I reacted
Yeah.
wasn't the right way. You know, like once you look back. um, and I was gonna ask too, like, because we're talking about purpose and everything. Like, what do you think for yourself, like your responsibility as an artist is? Do you feel like you have a responsibility, like for those maybe who are like your supporters? What would you say would be your responsibility as an artist?
To just keep going, keep showing up in ways that feel right, and and I haven't always done that. There have been some things that I've created
Mm-hmm.
that I feel left. They weren't things that that reflected who I am as
Mm-hmm.
an artist. And I'll just say I used to throw events a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and um, getting into nightclub stuff. And at first I was just staunch and like, no, this is the music is going to be like this. We're not going to have none of that trash music. All that typical stuff that you hear in clubs, you're never going to hear that here. And then when things started getting bigger, and number, like the venues want certain amount of numbers, everything becomes about numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt like, okay, in order to maintain this, I got to switch up and go ahead and go against what I originally started this for, and
Yeah.
do the typical thing and play the trash music. And,
Yeah.
and I did that. And I didn't feel good about it,
Mm-hmm.
but I did it. And the people came and the numbers were high, but I didn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
And and that was, I remember some people, like some fans, some supporters would come thinking, oh, Mickey's doing this night, this is going to be dope. And then they'd come and see what it was, and it was like, this is what you're doing now. But and I actually had somebody say, like, come and tell me that she was really disappointed in the night. She's like, I didn't think it was going to be like this. And I was like, girl gotta eat. But but I know that now I would not do that, because
Yeah.
it just didn't feel good.
Yeah, yeah, it feels obviously like it's not like we were just talking about like earlier about like working that job that you don't want to work is like doing something
Yeah.
that you initially didn't go in for, and people what you would call it now is like selling out, right, or something like that. But
Yeah.
sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and then go from there. And obviously, you found your path, your calling. Um, and as far as I think we spoke about, like you accepting yourself as an artist, but what was the moment? Obviously, accepting yourself as an artist is one thing, but when was the moment for you that you realized like this is it, like this is what I want to do, and there's no going back, like not ever going back to that 9 to 5? Did you have like a pivotal moment in your like in your life where that was like, okay, after this I'm never going back?
Yeah, that was that moment 6 years ago when I had my little
You're like
breakdown.
you're the what call it like a midlife
Crisis.
crisis or what?
Yeah, it was definitely it was probably a midlife crisis. Yeah, and
I've
I
had that too.
We've all been through it.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
this I was just like, I gotta make this work. There's no other way. I gotta figure this out.
yeah.
And
uh
everything, that's when everything started opening up. Like
yeah.
really, like, literally the world opened up.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works sometimes. Like you said, I think it's like because a lot of we talk about it a lot, me and my sister, about like manifesting. Like it's funny how a lot of people say like, "Oh, manifested" and all this stuff, but it's like people forget like you have to do the work too. Like it's
Yeah.
not
not just because you say it's gonna
It's
happen.
not
Like
gonna
you
land
have
in your
to,
lap.
yeah. It's like you have to work towards it because you just saying it is not gonna make it come true.
Yeah.
It's also putting in that work. Um, and what advice would you give to like an artist like that's still kind of trying to leave that 9 to 5 and try to make it a sustainable, like career as an artist? Like what advice, what one piece of advice that you would give?
Keep going and do the work. Put your head down, just like a bull. Just move forward. Just keep going and doing the work, because there's an audience for everyone.
That's
You
true.
know, just because I don't like something doesn't mean that the rest of the world won't like it. Like there's something for everybody. Um, and like, we have the world at our palm, so you can reach
Mm-hmm.
people all over the world. So you have access to literally billions of people. Out of those billions, somebody's going to be feeling
Yeah.
So, so just keep going. You got to keep going. That's the thing. You have to keep doing it. You can't. I mean, I know a lot of people who today, they say, "Oh, I can't believe you're still going, still going." It's like, for one, I feel like I have no other option. I mean, I could do other things, but for my heart's sake, I have no
Yeah.
other option. Um, and I know a lot of people who I started off with who, they have families, they have kids, and I've had to sacrifice a lot too.
Yeah.
Um, and I almost feel like for me, it's a privilege that I don't have children, because that's a whole other level of commitment that,
Yes.
can take you away from what you're trying to do. Well, it doesn't have to. It doesn't always have to, but for me, it definitely probably would have. The way
Yeah.
I look at how I would have to deal with having a family and stuff. Um, but yeah, just keep going, and believe. Yes, manifest, because that's real. I call it Mickey festing. Like I manifest everything, but I know that I also have to do the work. You got to do the work, but you got to believe in yourself.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah, and then the intention too that you put out there too,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people sometimes do it for like, oh, I'm gonna do this because I want to get this, but it's like the intention that you put. It should be like a positive
Yeah.
one, I think. Um, and obviously, as an artist, we can all relate that we are our harshest critic. So I kind of wanted to ask this question, like, if you could say like a percentage, right, of like you being your biggest hater versus being your biggest fan, like what percentage would you give that? Like, 50% you're a hater on yourself and then 50% you're a supporter of yourself, or is it a more 70-30? Like, what would you put it?
Hmm. Uh, it depends on what day it is. I'm probably. It's interesting because I feel like I think I'm dope, And I want to say 90%,
Yeah.
but there is a strong percentage that creeps up when I'm just like, this isn't it. This isn't dope. I don't, so I'm gonna say 60-40.
60/40.
60, I'm my number one fan. 40, I'm shitting on myself. Why?
Man. And since you do, like I said, we just mentioned in your intro, you do a little bit of everything. You're an artist, educator, DJ. You've done events, playwright, right? You have the Soul Kiss Theater. Um, for you as an artist, how are you able to do that? Like juggle? Like, do you have like right now one that you're like prefer to work on, and then you take kind of turns, or how does that work for you for being like a jack of all trades?
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Sometimes my friend called me today and asked what I was doing, and I was like, I'm sitting here staring at the wall, wondering how I'm gonna get through these next couple months. But I just, I think, um, I don't know. Like sometimes I don't even know how I do it because
Yeah.
my attention span has gotten better.
Okay.
Um, but I try to like compartmentalize things like, okay, today I'm going to be working on this, or this week, for instance. This week is mostly dedicated to Soul Kids Theater because there's a lot of preparation and work that I need to be doing with that. So, but there's always, it's like that's the big block, but then there's always like the little things like this, like doing this and going to do a show tonight. And so there's little things, but this week is Soul Kiss week, and then next week, I'll be all
Yeah.
over the place again. But I try to, I try my best to compartmentalize my my time.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and I was just talking to my friend about this today. I do better having a lot of things to juggle. I just work
Hmm.
better that way
Yeah.
because if I don't have a lot going on, if I don't have much going on, I'm likely to fall into a rut of laziness.
Yeah.
And it's like either or. It's like either I have a lot and I'm moving and I'm just
Like
something
keeping
about the
busy. Yeah.
pressure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I only have like one thing going on, it's like I get lazy. I don't even want to do that one thing.
And talking about that, because I think we all do that as artists. Sometimes, like we need to be busy. I think I've spoken to like Chris about that a lot. Whereas like I feel, and I'm pretty sure you feel the same thing. Where like as an artist, when you're not doing something, you feel like, man, I'm not doing nothing. I feel like I'm doing nothing, right? And
Yeah.
Kelsey was like, we need to stop beating ourselves up for that, right?
Yeah.
Because I think with that mentality, I think it's like I don't know if it's like a cultural thing too, where like as growing up, we see our parents, working hard, and we're like, that's what we were taught to, like that's what we have to do. And that's one thing I've been working on as an artist, is like trying to be okay with, if I take a day off, it's fine, it's not the end of the
Yeah.
world,
Think
like
you need your me time
yeah,
sometimes
exactly,
too.
like that me time. Like for you, is that something like you're aware, like self-aware, but you feel like I still gotta work, or do you kind of acknowledge it and you're kind of working on that?
I'm really good at taking time for myself.
Uh-huh.
Um, I just never want to I don't want to take too much time, but I do
Yeah.
sometimes remind myself like it's okay to a day or two. Like everybody needs a break or a week if I need it.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm definitely downtime. Like I almost feel like the majority of the time I have office hours.
Yeah.
It's like you can reach me from 8 to like maybe 6 p.m. and then after that you're probably not going to be able to reach me because unless it's something we have something planned or something. But
Yeah.
I pretty much shut down after that because my
Yeah.
brain is moving a million miles an hour all day long.
Yeah.
So I have to shut down at some point.
Yeah. And how do you take care of, like, for you, for like your mental health? Like, do you like, meditate, go for walks? Like, what's your go-to thing?
I don't meditate because I always fall asleep. But I love walking. I love walking. I love just I love hiking is my main. That's my jam. I love hiking. Anything chill. I just like to like I'll go to the library, chill out. I love to read. Um, Go on a boat. Like I like going out on the lake and just chilling on a rowboat. Anything quiet where there's not a lot of people. I'm
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, man. Oh,
Or
that's
a
cool.
park. I'll go hang out
Yeah.
at a park. Yeah.
And any good books that you recommend?
What am I reading right now? No, that one's not that fun. This book, Ishmael, um, by Daniel Quinn, I think his name is Daniel Quinn. Ishmael. It's dope. It's about this gorilla who, basically, this gorilla has all the knowledge of the world,
Oh, wow.
and he's just a gorilla that's from some other space and time, but he's been captured, and so
Mm-hmm.
he speaks to, um, was it the captor? He speaks to some young man in the book. I forget why the guy was there,
Mm-hmm.
but he just this gorilla in his own way imparts all this knowledge to the guy, and it's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's a trip. It's really good.
What was the name of it one more time? You said the.
Ishmael.
Okay, you have to
Yeah.
send it to us.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start like a book club with the Heartful Truth. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And again, we thank you for your time, for like being our second guest on this show, and giving us the opportunity to talk with us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you again for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, no, you're welcome, and we'll hope you have a great rest of your week. We're midway through. Happy Wednesday. So take care, and then we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All
Thank
Peace.
right,
you.
peace.
Peace.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for another episode of The Heartful Truth. Hope you guys enjoyed our guest, Miki Vale. As you heard, she's a jack of all trades. She does it all. And yeah, if you like this episode, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel here at Platform Collection. This episodes or all the episodes are going to be on streaming as well, the audio version, in case you don't want to see the video and it's easier for you to tune into the audio. Go ahead and look us up, The Heartful Truth. It'll be on all streaming platforms. And I'll hand it off to my co-host here and my little sister Melly, just to say goodbye.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Miki Vale, for being on our second episode. We appreciate you. And thank you guys for tuning in.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace, you guys.